afternoon, everyone. It's Alyssa Corum and Ken Shreve here with a look at the stock market today. The Nasdaq had a big day of outperformance. It's been the laggard, though, Ken. We saw the major indexes gain across the board. We'll dig into that a bit, as well as a couple of stocks looking interesting underneath the surface.
Well, you're right. A lot of technology stocks still not looking that great, but we'll revisit Google, which is our Alphabet. We'll take a look at. Also, Twitter, which is showing unbelievable strength in this market. And finally, take a look at Discover Financial Services, the latest payment processor to break out.
All right. Well, first, a look at the major indexes, starting off with the Nasdaq Composite here, retaking that key 50-day moving average. That's the red line there, with a strong gain of about 2.5% for the day. We also had the Russell 2000 small cap index up roughly 2%, the S&P 500 up 1%, and the Dow up 0.6%. So the big thing we want to highlight here today is the Nasdaq, which had taken the hardest hit during this recent rout. Tech stocks just suffering a lot of damage, but now the Nasdaq has a pretty interesting day of outperformance at a key level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it closed pretty much at its session high and above the 50-day moving average, which could have very easily been a resistance level for the tech index. Would have been nice to see some volume behind the move today. It looks like we are going to have lower volume than what we saw Thursday, but nonetheless, it was a very encouraging day for the Nasdaq. Yesterday, with the Dow hitting an all-time high and the S&P 500 acting well, the Russell 2000 all sitting near highs. We put the market back in an uptrend, and we had to do that. So last week it seemed logical to put the Nasdaq in a correction when it slumped below its 50-day moving average and fell more than 10% off its high. But as money has rotated out of growth stocks, we've seen a lot of good action in cyclical stocks and energy stocks, a lot of reopen stocks. So market's looking pretty good here. Nasdaq still needs to prove itself a little more, but to see the composite above its 50-day moving average certainly is encouraging.
And it needs to prove itself even more is the Nasdaq 100. So taking a look at QQQ here, Ken, still below its 50-day, some potential resistance there above the 21-day though.
Yeah, positive that it closed above the 21-day exponential moving average, but you can see the Nasdaq 100 got close to that 50-day and it backed off highs. Unlike the composite, which had a close near highs, Nasdaq 100 backed off highs when it got close to that 50-day line. So still watching the 50-day line for the Nasdaq 100 as a potential resistance level. Definitely the rally attempt still intact here. Overall, the market is looking pretty good. Tech stocks have some more work to do. Not seeing a lot of actionable stocks to buy in the technology sector, but a lot of other industry groups and sectors working nicely.
Yeah, there are. But there is one mega cap tech stock looking pretty interesting as of now, and that is Google parent Alphabet. Gained about 3.2% for the day, breaking out over this trend line that we have here. It's been coiling up and finding support near that 21-day line. This had been on the leaderboard watch list. It was activated today. Tell us more about the action for Google, Ken.
Yeah, we really just looked at today like as a setup day. In other words, we think the price action today could lead to further higher prices. It tried to break out over a little trend line here that you have drawn on the chart. It didn't quite do it. A breakout over a trend line is basically going to correspond with a move over Monday's high, and you can see it didn't quite top Monday's high, but like the fact that it closed near highs. This is again, there's just not a lot of merchandise in the technology sector right now. Many tech leaders have pulled back, 30, 40, 50% off their highs, and they're going to need to start working their way higher again. Looking for renewed signs of institutional buying. Not really seeing that yet, but Alphabet has really the fact that it was held above that 2,000 level after that bullish gap price. Yeah. Definitely showing relative strength, and happy to have it on leaderboard.
Yeah, especially as so many tech stocks really have come under pressure in recent weeks. And next on our list, we want to take a look at Twitter TWTR. It gained almost 6% for the day. It's trying to get back above that 21-day line. It gapped up all not too long ago, ran up over 80, saw a pretty sharp pullback, but it never went below its 50-day.
Still looks to me like a stock under accumulation, even after a pullback off its high of 80. If you look at what the past 5 or 6 declines for the stock, look at the volume. It just really has not been a lot of downside volume for Twitter. So I look at that as a positive in the chart. Like the look of the weekly chart too. This is the daily chart, and the weekly. I think this is just a classic stock for the watch list. I think it still has potential to be a stock market leader. Maybe it'll come down and test the 10-week line, or if it continues to show price strength, that 10-week line will catch up, and maybe it finds support. But I think the stock looks really good here, and we're watching this one closely because again, I think it has potential to still be a leading technology stock.
That's right. And underscoring your point about that volume, Ken, look at these big blue volume bars here on the weekly. We definitely like the look of that, and a turnaround in the fundamentals as well. Strong growth in the most recent quarter. And last but not least, let's take a look at DFS, Discover Financial Services. If I could type in the ticker there, breaking out with that RS line blue dot. Good to see.
Yep, absolutely. And the payment processing group has delivered a lot of strong price performers. PayPal is in this group. Discover is a credit card issuer. They're also a payment processor. But this is just a nice move over the 100 level. You mentioned that relative strength line in new high ground. So the buy point here was 101.06, 10 cents above the high of the left side of the base there. And yeah, this is interesting. It's a low volume breakout, not the end of the world. Sometimes it takes a few days for volume to start rolling into a stock, but hopefully we'll get some follow through here and see the stock extend gains tomorrow. And market's been serving up a lot of technical breakouts, so it's encouraging. Like I said, last week when the Nasdaq fell sharply below the 50-day line, it was not looking good. We thought it might drag the whole market down, but it didn't take long for the Dow and the S&P 500 to find their footing. So a lot of breakouts we've been seeing in recent days. As you know, I've been talking about them on IBD Live every day. So Discover, good looking chart here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breakouts aplenty, that is for sure. And we're going to keep track of more stocks that are looking good, and not only on investors.com in this show, but as well as IBD Live. That's, of course, our daily morning live stream. Our experts are sharing their screens. We're talking about actionable stocks, portfolio management tips, and of course, the market direction, which is ever so important. Ken, what is the final word of advice that you would have to the audience as we are getting close to rounding out another week of trade?
Well, first of all, looking forward to hearing portfolio manager Charles Harris on IBD Live tomorrow.
Yes.
That's going to be he's always a great guest to have. But yeah, I think there are reasons to be encouraged about this market. Again, would have been nice to see some volume in the Nasdaq today. It looks like it's going to come in lower than what we saw Thursday, but encouraging to see the Nasdaq back above its 50-day moving average. We mentioned the Dow, S&P 500, mid caps, small caps, all of the other indexes are either in new high ground or very close to new highs. So market's looking pretty good.
And Ken, just because the Nasdaq is looking better, does that mean that I can now it's safe to buy any tech stock I want?
Well, this is the issue right now because when you look at some of the biggest gainers in the Nasdaq 100 today, really you saw a lot of stocks up 3, 4, 5%, but they're so far off highs. Many are still below their 50-day moving averages. Some came all the way down to their 200-day line. So a lot of these stocks will look a lot better if they start rising in heavy volume and you start to see renewed signs of institutional buying. Remember, a lot of these tech stocks came down very hard and heavy volume. So lots of institutional selling. So the new leaders will emerge, but those leaders will show accumulation as they form the right side of these bases. That process is going to take a little time, but again, you got names like Google and Twitter. There's a handful out there that are looking pretty good, but many more that are not quite there yet.
Fantastic, Ken. Thank you so much for all of those insights today. Thank you, audience, for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.